in a little bit. My poor van has been out in the parking lot for a week, just awaiting some attention because I have been out of town. Hey, Forrest. Took my boyfriend home to meet my parents, which is a little weird at 50 plus, but you know, that's how life rolls sometimes. And actually the objective of the trip was to celebrate my father's 84th birthday. So that was pretty amazing. We had a great time in Florida, just really enjoyed being in the sunshine, being with family and all of that. And it was a good little break before, sorry, someone's a little feisty this morning. It was a good little break before this, what I'm considering kind of a final push into van life. I've got about 6 weeks before my lease is up, and I've got a whole lot of work to do in addition to actually working a job. So I'm trying to figure out what date I'm actually going to put in my notice, and got to be out of here, obviously, because the lease is up, but I've got so much work to do in the van, and I'm struggling a little bit with just the sequencing of everything. So I'm doing the initial prep right now. I'm going to work on the paint of the interior today and hopefully put up my kill mat. The weather's beautiful, which is a bonus. It's been such a cold, rainy winter, so I'm really, really happy to actually have some sunshine and some warmth up here in Atlanta. Today, I'm going to do the painting inside and put the kill mat up and then figure out really what the right order or sequence of the van build should be. I've seen a lot of different opinions about that. Some people do electrical right up front. Some people do insulation and then electrical. Some people do their floor first. Some people do their ceiling and then their walls and then their cabinets, or the cabinets and then the walls, and then it's just confusing. So I need to sit down and figure out what is my plan going to be for getting the van built. And because I'm in an apartment, I don't have outside electrical. I really can't do too much construction work on a van, although I know I could go to Home Depot or someplace like that and work in the parking lot, but I don't have a good garage that I can go to right now. I'm going to do what I can here over the next 6 weeks. I plan to go to Florida for a couple of weeks, spend time with my family, hopefully finish up the van build, fingers crossed that that'll happen, and then be on to van life, which is a little intimidating too, thinking that I'm going to be homeless and I won't have a job necessarily, although I do have money saved up for this adventure. Yeah, it's a crazy time. Today is paint day, but I'm not super thrilled with my progress so far. It was colder than I expected it would be this morning, so I came out and I taped and I waited a little bit, and then I started priming with this Rust-Oleum metal primer, but it's running terribly, and I don't know if it's because of the temperature, because it's not quite above 50 yet. It's close. It might be actually. It says to spray it in conditions that are over 50 for accurate drying. It didn't say anything about running, but I'm not too happy with it, and I don't want to have runs all over the whole van. So I'm probably just going to use up this can and then maybe go back and get a roll-on primer instead, which I thought would be more work and maybe messier, but it's possible. It's highly likely actually that it might be a lot neater to do it that way. So that's my plan B. All right, I've used up that can of spray paint. I went ahead and just did the wheel wells, which you can see there's some big runs right in there, and just everywhere it's running like crazy, and so I cannot recommend this Rust-Oleum clean metal primer. But I did get a little bit of the walls done, a little bit on that side, get that wheel well done. So I'm gonna let that dry, make a run to Lowe's, I guess, or the auto parts store, and get some better paint and see how much I can get done today. I am back from the store. I basically got the same paint, but in brush-on form instead of spray paint, and I've got more of it since it didn't seem to be covering real well. So I'm gonna give that a shot, and you can see from the wheel wells that there's still some spots that, even though I sprayed them, didn't have good coverage. So hopefully the brush-on will work better. Another thing that I think, another thing I think that's good about this is these little triangle pieces that cover up the, I don't know what you call it, the channel in the bottom that's there for moisture management. I was getting some overspray on those, and even though they're gonna be covered, I didn't really want them to have a whole bunch of spray paint daubs on them, so I hopefully won't have that mess by using this approach. I'm doing this, I can't decide if I'm going to go back and do a second coat of primer. Kind of recoating a little bit as it starts to dry, but it's definitely not covering the way I thought that it might, that I hoped that it would. And granted, I'm using a cheap sponge brush, which isn't my favorite either, but this is oil-based, and I don't have mineral spirits or anything to clean up, and I just thought it might be easier, but every time I try to take a shortcut, it seems to make things harder. All right, I have finished the first third of the floor. I am, as I mentioned, not thrilled with the coverage on this paint. The worn down metal is showing through the base coat of whatever was on there. Not the bare galvanized metal, but the primer that was on there before that. I'm also not loving that sponge brush. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I was thinking buying that. I know better. I've got nice paint brushes, but I should have just picked up some mineral spirits to clean my good brushes, and I didn't. I tried taking the easy way out, and it's not serving me very well. So I am going to probably just finish up the walls. I think I can prime those okay with that sponge brush, touch them up at least what I did earlier, and then get my bottom over to the hardware store, get what I really need. But I think my ambition to get the primer and the paint and the kill mat up is not going to happen today. So I just need to accept that sometimes I can be overambitious. I am definitely not a patient person, and this is going to be a good learning experience for me to practice the patience skills that I have not perfected in all my many years on this earth. So I'll keep working on it and just keep at it. That's all I can do. I am back in the van after a week for our travels and work and other things, and I'm pretty satisfied with the primer, the way it covered, at least, I don't know, thick enough to, I think, be a good base for the actual paint that I'm going to put on to clean up the inside of the van and then get started with the build. You can still see some of the bare metal coming through the primer, but it's got a pretty decent coat on it as the foundation for the finished paint that I'm going to put on top. So that's my project. And I get to enjoy a nice wooded view on the outside and birds chirping, which is always a bonus. Well, I'm making pretty good progress, and you can see the difference here in the color between the primed area with still some metal showing through and the finished white. We'll have some brush strokes, I'm sure, just because I'm using a brush with oil paint. That happens, but overall it's looking pretty good, and I'm excited to have a nice clean white canvas to build my dream home in. I'm glad that you're with me, and we'll just keep rolling, see how it goes. And yeah, if you want the real and not the Instagram shiny polished approach to building a van and van life and other adventures, then you are in the right spot. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and tell your friends if you like what you see. And if you've got input, suggestions, support, questions, feel free to drop those down in the comments as well. I'm happy to hear from everybody, and I look forward to sharing this journey with you.